Hey guys, Eric from Grimy Mid Sports Cards here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to do another PSA reveal, and this is just another one in a long series of PSA reveals I've been doing lately. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk to you for just a few minutes here. I do have a little cheat sheet because there's a few things that I wanted to hit on, and I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything while I was doing the video here. So, to start off with, I'm really excited about this video, really excited about this reveal. Excuse me, these are some cards that I've had in my collection for a number of years and got them slabbed when I went to the Long Beach Expo back in September, early October. I would also like to say I'm very disappointed with this submission as well. Not only were the grades really low, I have graded some of these same types of cards, as you'll see later, in the past, and typically the grades have been kind of low. I think PSA probably just is really stringent on their grading for these, and they really do have to be perfect in order to get a good grade. Now, with that being said, these cards are super low pop cards, so I can kind of understand, but at the same time, I think PSA is probably controlling population reports and not giving super high grades unless something is absolutely perfect. And by super high grades, I mean on these particular cards would be like 6s and 7s would be a super high grade in these cards. So, anyway, a little bit disappointed with this one, but we'll get into that later. I wanted to start with just a few stories, and this is this is all about PSA. Anybody and everybody that grades with PSA knows a lot of this stuff already, but maybe there are some of you out there that don't know this stuff, and I hope that this would help you a little bit. And maybe if you've been grading with PSA for 20 years like I have, maybe it's something that you haven't seen before or haven't heard before, and I think you need to hear it. So I have a couple of stories here. You know, if you've watched any videos, any of my videos, any of anybody's videos on YouTube that does PSA reveals, the trend in the last year or two has been that grades are low. You know, stuff that you just know is a 10 comes back 8s and 9s. And I think this has a lot to do with the fact that PSA has grown so big so quickly. Also the fact that they went from being a publicly traded company to being being private again. They have grown so big so fast, and I know they're trying, I understand the business, I know they're trying to crank out, you know, whatever, 20,000 cards a month, 50,000 cards a month, who knows what the actual number is. So I understand they're trying to crank out a lot of stuff. But PSA, any of you that have graded with them in the past, especially, you know, 10, 15 years back and further back than that, knows in the old days, when you looked at a card, you pretty much knew exactly what grade you're going to get. These days, it seems like it's kind of a crapshoot. You just don't quite know what you're going to get. I've gotten cards that I just absolutely knew were 10s, came back 7s and 8s. I had cards that I was expecting 7s, possibly 8s on, and I was okay with that. And they're giving them 10s, which is great. However, when you look at a card and you think to yourself, I don't think this card is a 10, it still is kind of a problem. So I think there is some damage control problems. I think there are some quality control problems. If you graded with PSA, you know that they have two different steps that are QA, quality assurance. And I'll talk a little bit more about their quality assurance a little bit later when we get into the reveal, because the quality assurance on some of these cards I'm going to show you today is absolutely atrocious. I know PSA probably doesn't want some of this stuff put out there because it's bad press for them. But I think it needs to be addressed. And I think people need to know a little bit about what's going on and really be aware, if you're going to put cards in with PSA, there's just some things that you really, really need to do in order to make sure that your cards are well taken care of. So I want to throw another story or two out here real quick. I have heard from some of the other YouTubes, from some of my other friends, including my best friend George from Diamond Yard Sports Cards here on YouTube as well. There's some issues with cards being switched. Send in a card to get graded at PSA, and a completely different card comes back to you, and then your card that you put in is lost and they can't find it. And if you make some sort of a stink about it, of course, which you would, then they are coming back at you saying, you know, no, this is the card that you sent to us, and or they're going to try and fix the problem, but now all of a sudden they're sending disclaimers that they want you to sign, which is like a legal contract saying that you won't speak about this, you won't make a video about this, you won't tell others about this. This is really kind of shady, folks, and I think, you know, we all need to be aware of this and to try and make sure that we're covering our own, you know, butts on this one when we're putting cards in to PSA to get graded. Losing cards, switching cards, damaged cards. You've heard me, if you've seen any of my recent videos, 5 out of my last submissions that have come back, I've had at least one card that PSA has damaged and then put it in a holder, you know, with like a 5 grade or a 6 grade. And these are modern cards that come out of a pack that I pulled myself that are nice cards. They should be 9s and 10s because they came straight out of a pack and they're nicer cards. In the old days, when PSA damaged a card, they would still holder it for you. They would send it back. They would say, hey, we messed up this card and we want to make it right. We want to do something for you. They would throw a little bit of cash at you, or they would throw a few free gradings at you or something like that to make up for it. That was fantastic back in the day. They're no longer doing that. They have a new, yeah, there it is. They have a new thing that they're calling damage control assessment. And this is where you need to be aware. So when cards are coming back, you need to be checking out your cards and making sure if they damaged a card, you have to let them know. They will no longer take immediate responsibility for damaging a card. So you have to bring it to their attention and say, hey, you damaged this card. Here's the proof, which brings me to the next point. When you're going to do a submission, please take pictures of your cards. You need to take pictures of your cards so that you can absolutely, you know, say, hey, here's what the card looked like before I sent it in. Here's what it looks like now. Obviously, it wasn't like this when I sent it to you. The other thing you should know, you only have 5 days after it's been delivered to get with them and let them know that something is wrong, whether they misholdered it, whether it is not centered in the holder, whether they damaged the card, whatever. You only have 5 days after it was delivered to get a hold of them and let them know that there was an issue. Let me see. The last thing I think I'll throw out there is you know, so for those of us in the card collecting community, why is it that we still go with PSA? You know, I think the answer is pretty easy on that one. I think it's, you know, still because PSA's grades, no matter what they are still worth the most. More than SGC, more than BGS, any of the Beckett's, certainly more than some of the lesser, the CSGs, the HGA, which is now out of business, and that kind of stuff. PSA just always commands the most money. So, I mean, you want your collectibles for your own collection, or if you have a business and you're looking to turn them over or something like that, you want to get the most out of your card. And it's understandable. But you just, I can't stress it enough, folks, with as much problems as I've had in the last, say, 2 months, to be taking pictures of your cards. When your cards come back, please check them out. Please look them over really closely with a magnifying glass, with you know, a bright light, many bright lights if you have to make sure that they haven't that they haven't created an issue with your card. So that's, I'm going to leave it there, and I think that at least I hope that some people really enjoy this information, because I think it needs to get out there and stuff. And Just be careful, folks. So, I'm going to get into the reveal now. As I said, I'm super excited about this reveal, but at the same time, I am also disappointed. I really thought on every single one of these cards I'm going to show you, I really thought I should be getting a grade to 2 grades higher than what I actually got. Now, when I say that, I said that earlier, I have graded some of these same types of cards in the past. Typically, the grades have been a little bit lower than I was expecting. So, without further ado, here we go, folks. What we're going to show you today is about half of 1954 All-Star Photo Pack cards. Now, let me see, how can I make this work so that you can see these really well? Let's go like this. There we go. So I actually purchased an entire pack of photo pack cards about 3-4 years ago, raw, off of eBay. They've been sitting in my collection, and I've been wanting to get them graded for quite a while. I finally decided to pull the trigger and do this when I went to the Long Beach Expo back in September, early October. The only card that was missing out of this pack was the Ernie Banks, and that Ernie Banks is a rookie card. But that one was missing. All the rest of them I have. I graded 10. So we're going to start it with here. The great Stan the Man Musial. As you can see, this got PSA 3. Now this card looks way nicer than that. And I might as well just say it now. Every single one of these looks nicer than that. There's one card that has a little bit of an issue. But other than that, all of these I thought should have been graded way higher. So you see this stuff that's on the back here. This is actually from the inside of the holder. I don't know if it's static electricity or what it is that they use to help the card stay in place. But there's Stan the Man. The next one we're going to throw out here. These first two are by far the nicest, I'll say, and then I'll get into that in a minute or two. As to what the issues are with the other cards. The next one here, Yogi. This one also got a 3. Now I see the centering's off just a little bit. It's off a little bit left to right. But the picture is really, really nice. Thought it should have gotten a little bit better. There's a little shot of the back. Oh, this is a little piece of dust or something that got on the case there. That's not an issue. So there we go. Now, the rest of these cards I'm going to show you, grades are lower, and you'll see the issues with these cards. For the last week or so, actually week and a half, I have been going back and forth with one of the quality control guys from PSA, because every single one of these cards, here's the Willie, that got a 2. Every single one of these cards that I'm going to show you, the next 8, you'll see, are OC in the holder. They holdered them OC. You can see it's way off left to right. This one is actually fairly nice top to bottom. Yeah, it's a little bit low in there as well, but it's fairly straight in the holder is what I meant to say. But it's not in the holder correctly. So this is why I've been going back and forth with PSA for the last week or week and a half. Some of these cards, like this one, you'll see it has a little bit of black discoloration on the back. I'm pretty sure that's either ink that has bled through when they made the picture, or it's discoloration from the acidity in the paper and just oxidizing. So a few of these have that little bit of black stuff on the back. Anyway, I've been going back and forth with PSA. I'll throw out another one here. Larry Doby, 2.5. You'll see this one is twisted and way low in the holder. So, week and a half, been going back and forth with PSA on this one. Originally, the guy got back to me and said, hey, you know, these things can shift during shipping. And I said, I'm well aware of that. I work for the post office, so I know things get tossed around. I know things can move in holders and stuff like that. When I got these cards, when I pulled them out and was disappointed with the grades, I used my hand. I used a towel on my counter here to try and tap them lightly without destroying the holder to get them better centered. in the holders, they will not move in the holders. And I told this guy that. Next one we're going to throw out here, Campy. Now this one got a 3 MK, as in marked. I've gone over this with a fine-tooth comb, all kinds of bright lights, all kinds of magnifying glasses, excuse me. I cannot find any kind of a mark whatsoever on this card, so I don't know where they came up with the marking on this. There are no pen marks, there are no pencil marks, there's no dents like where somebody wrote with a pencil and erased it. There's a couple more of those little black marks on the back of this one. So this is one that's going back not only to be reholdered, but they're going to relook at it as well and tell me why it got MK and show me where it is that they think it's actually marked. So going back and forth with this guy, I did my due diligence. I went to the PSA website. You know when you get your stuff graded. Next one we're going to throw up here is the Mick. Mick got a 3, but once again, you see how OC it is in the holder. You know when PSA pops your grades up, they take pictures of them to put up on the website. I went immediately, looked all of these cards up, and the pictures they took at PSA were all OC in the holders like this. And so I had to say to the guy, here's my customer number. Here are the order numbers for these cards. You need to go on and take a look at your own pictures that you took before you ship them to me, and you see that every single one of these cards looks exactly like it does right now before you ship them to me. So they were not holdered correctly. They were holdered OC like this in the holders and then shipped to me, and then they tried to say, oh, well, it's just because of shipping. Not true. This is the whole reason why we're doing this video, folks, other than to show these cards off, and I just love them. Make sure you're checking your cards. Make sure you're holding PSA accountable for the money that you're spending to get your cards graded. Next one we have here, Teddy Ballgame, the great Ted Williams. PSA 2.5, once again, really high, and OC in the holder. So 8 out of the 10 of these cards, a little bit more of that black stuff on the back, 8 out of the 10 of these cards are misholdered. And I am sending them all back to be reholdered. You not only have to pay for the grading when you do these big ones, but you know, you're paying 30 bucks a piece for the holders. So you want them done correctly. Next, we've got Jackie, the great Jackie Robinson. Another one you can see really high, OC, twisted in there. Looks, I mean, it's such a beautiful card, but it just looks horrible when they have it so OC in the holder. And this one got a 2. I was pretty upset about a 2 on this one. This card looks like it should be a 4 or a 5. I mean, it's so nice. Just don't understand why the grades are so low. But the population on these cards is super low. There's some more of that black stuff, and a little bit more down here. The population is so low on these cards. The Mickey Mantle card is actually the highest population card of any of them, and I think it's like 23 or 25 graded total. So these are super, super low pop cards. I'm super excited to have them in my collection, but now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to send 8 of them back to PSA, and they're going to be there for probably a month or 2 before they reholder them, get them straight, and then send them back to me. Next, we've got Eddie Mathews. This would be a rookie. This also got a 2. Now, this one isn't quite as twisted in the holder, but it is a little bit. It's definitely low in the holder. While I was talking to the guy at PSA back and forth, he said to me, well, we just can't guarantee a bunch of the black stuff on the back here, but they didn't give any of these MK designations, so it has to be something with the, you know, the oxidation of the paper or a little bit of ink that bled through or something like that when they made these pictures. The guy that I've been speaking with at PSA said to me, well, if we reholder these, the only way we can really guarantee that they're going to be straight in the holder is if we put them in like a giant penny sleeve. And I said, that's fine. I don't care. I just want these to look nice for the amount of money that I paid to have them graded. The last one, Minnie Minoso. This one is definitely low and twisted in the holder, so this is another one that's going to go back and get reholdered. This one doesn't have any of that black stuff on the back, but you can see that those little white spots there, that's that static electricity or whatever to help hold the card in place. So that's the cards we have here, folks. We've gone through a little bit and told you about you know, some of the things you need to be aware of these days and watching out for with PSA. I'm gonna throw the Jackie back out there just because it's such a beautiful card. Love that Jackie. Let's see if we can't, there we go, blow it up just a little bit. Such a cool card, really cool in the background there. Some of the signs that are up there on the back of the field. I will be sending these cards back off to get them reholdered. Please, if you're doing bigger cards like this, you can ask for them to put them in the penny sleeves inside the holder to help hold them in place. So that, you know, they should be more better centered in the holder and they should look nicer for you and like that. So that does it for this video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of the info that I've thrown out there today will not only help you, but I hope it's stuff maybe that you haven't heard and that it'll help you along the line. If you have heard it before, maybe you forgot, I hope it helps you remember. Please keep track of your cards. Please take pictures. Hold PSA accountable for what they're doing for you. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate every single one of you. I hope you enjoy the videos. Keep collecting, folks. Keep collecting what you love.